Welcome to the Greenway Outdoors podcast. The Greenway Outdoors is also an internationally syndicated TV show on Pursuit Channel and Wild TV. You are now tuned into our weekly podcast hosted by executive producer Kyle Green, production coordinator Jeff Hutchinson, director AJ Beadle, and creative producer Ryan Parks. We live in a world where our natural resources are almost solely protected by funds raised by hunters and fishermen. With over 60% of those funds coming from white males over the age of 55, the Greenway Outdoors team has set out on a mission to create content that would inspire millennials, Generation Z, and new sportsmen and women to get out, hunt, fish, and contribute towards conservation and the betterment of our planet. Welcome to the Greenway Outdoors. Hello and welcome to episode 28 of the Greenway Outdoors podcast. I'm Kyle.
I'm Jeff.
Hey, AJ.
Ryan.
No one asked. All right.
Didn't ask.
My
Did
favorite.
Not ask.
So you know how when you download a YouTube episode or a YouTube anything and it saves to your phone and then you can watch it when you're offline?
Correct.
Well, I get no service at my gym, so I live off of the downloads that I have.
Nice.
And after a grouping of my favorite songs, the Post Malone section is one of our podcasts, and it's episode 17. And I never listened to all the way through, but I always listen through just one joke. And it starts out where I go, "Hey guys, what's going on?" And Jeff goes, "Well, I don't know. You said some really hurtful things to me before the podcast started, so I'm not saying anything." And Ryan goes, "Shut up." And then and then I go, "I take nothing back." And AJ goes, "I meant every word." And that is something that I always think of for the
That's us in a nutshell. Like,
Yeah,
that's a good thing. I'm not salty.
Yeah. The other good thing about you not being salty, Jeff, is that Ryan, did you ask?
No,
AJ?
didn't ask.
I didn't think I asked.
I don't think any of us
Interesting information you gave up because I don't remember asking. That's crazy.
And this kind of banter is at least targeted at Jeff is a little bit of revenge for episode 18, which is when we had just gotten back from our crawfish expedition in New Orleans, and you guys were jerks. You guys are jerks. So if you want to listen to
Is that when we just
brought it on
destroyed him?
yourself.
Oh yeah, that's when we killed him for
being a child.
when we just annihilated our friend.
Yep.
I signed the checks. I signed the checks. That's my go-to.
That's great.
But yeah, that was episode 18. If you want to see a bunch of people picking on a nice guy who's been nothing but good to them, episode 18's the one.
That's the best
You be the
episode.
judge.
Every
Right.
other episode, we're a joy, and there's no picking on anybody.
No. We're all so sweet to each other. But in that episode, we summarized the crayfish expedition, New Orleans, and the redfish, and all the crazy stuff we dealt with Mardi Gras. But that episode's actually airing tonight. If you're listening to this live on New Radio Media Streams, the new NRM Streams application live, then you know that as soon as this is over at 7 o'clock,
Yeah.
we're rolling right into the next episode. Again, that's going to be Crawfish, which is Ryan's first episode he ever produced.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And he also...
Producer credit.
Yeah, pretty awesome. So we've got the sizzle reel to show you the preview of it. Let's roll it. I was talking to our awesome soundboard operator the whole time, and I didn't even think about the fact that normally with sizzle reels, our mics are on. So if you got to hear our banter, that was him and I having a good chat. Probably not. Oh, you guys missed it. Sorry. So you just got to listen to that awesome music that Ryan actually picked that out too and edited that sizzle reel. So he produced the episode, made the sizzle reel. AJ's like, okay, too much. Giving him too much for this.
He didn't want a spelling bee.
commercial too.
Yeah. I mean, it's the same, but yeah.
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 My
that's
voice
true.
was in it.
Oh, that was your first voiceover too. Yeah, the commercial
Nice.
for
Crawfish.
Miss Rose's.
Yep.
B&B.
B&B and Crawfish Haven.
I don't think we'll have better crawfish than that.
No, never.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah,
It was awesome. How many pounds did we get? 100 and...
130, Ryan. I don't like you should remember that for sure. Yeah, we got
I'm not saying it
You were
again.
paying attention.
I know.
I'm not saying it again.
It was only 3 months ago. Why don't you remember?
Yeah.
It wasn't
Such
even
an
that.
idiot, dude.
It was. Oh wow! It was almost 3 months.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mardi Gras.
That ain't right.
I don't know when Mardi Gras is. I
Yeah,
just
it's
know.
beginning of March.
Yeah.
Wow.
I thought that was in May, but that's
We're in a
May the 4th.
time
And that's
warp.
May the 4th be
There's
with you. The
nothing
post.
to do with
Yes. And Cinco de
Not
Mayo
even
is
a real holiday anywhere, technically.
except for the meme world.
Yeah.
And Cinco de Mayo is
Meme world.
a very different.
That's in March, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I love that trying to get
Oh, I was like, oh, okay, he's joking.
You're like, he's joking, man. I hope the cameras
You
are
said
on
he's
him.
doing more stuff?
We gotta cut him out.
What's he writing?
The episode itself is actually pretty fascinating. Driving the big boat, where we had it's like this giant boat with a big motor that was connected to a tire instead of a prop.
It's a wheel. A tire is rubber. It's a hydraulic wheel.
It wasn't. It wasn't rubber.
No.
Oh.
Are you
Yeah, it was
sure?
just metal.
I'm positive.
It's really hard, but if you look at it, you can tell that it's metal. Because there's a difference between metal and rubber, as it turns out.
Be
Why-
weird you couldn't understand.
When he was
too.
so sure, why would I question it? Because I should have known that I was begging for it.
Yeah.
Begging for it. I was like, what a stupid choice of mine.
Oh, I'm
But
getting
yeah,
set up here.
It was pushing around the wheel, and the tires that were on the side of it.
There was tires on the bottom of it.
Yeah, so you didn't have to be rude.
You could just say wheels and be right either way.
There you go.
You know.
Well, there's a difference between wheels and tires. See,
Nope.
one is rubber and one is metal.
Nice.
I don't know if you know this, but you can tell by the way you look at them that they're
All
different.
tires are wheels, not all wheels are tires.
Like,
Oh.
no.
Getting philosophical.
Stupid. But this boat was driven by this motor that pushed circular objects.
It's actually an engine.
Yeah, and he
Motors
steered,
are electric.
steered with his feet.
For real.
I hate you all. Watch the episode. You'll see this cool boat that we go
It's
through.
not technically a boat.
So we're pushing through this mud
Or
water.
a vessel, but all right.
In order to collect, we set out a bunch of literally 500 traps for crawfish, and it was awesome. We just catch a bunch of them. We do a big crawfish boil. This is the first time we've done an actual prayer. And Jeff, it was so funny. Jeff, for some
yeah.
reason, every time we go to do it, he calls it the prayer segment still. It's like a lesson. We include a Bible verse every episode. If you've seen the episodes on Pursuit Channel, then you're aware of what it looks like, or whatever network we might be airing on right now when you watch this podcast. But when you see it, there's always like a lesson and a summary and a voiceover, and then, there's a Bible verse in it. In season 1, when we first started, we used to do a full prayer on camera, but it would always just... It insisted upon itself. It didn't flow correctly.
The idea was better than how it looked.
That's exactly. I couldn't say it better. The idea was great. The concept was awesome. The way it looked, it just never came together right. So we switched to this format. Well, we did, for whatever reason, well into season 3. Jeff, every time he's like, "Do you guys want to set up for the prayer segment? Do you guys want to get ready for the prayer segment?" It's like
At least 12 times.
Jeff, we haven't done that in 40 episodes, but he insisted upon it every time. I don't know if he's just jacking with us or what, but he would not let.
It was part of the original concept.
He
not
just
crossing
stuck
over.
Call me old-fashioned.
I yelled at him every time. I'm like, I don't want to hear that. And AJ goes, I don't want to hear that
Never
again.
again.
I don't want to hear that again. But in this episode, there is an actual prayer. It's something we haven't done in a while, and I thought it flowed well.
Yeah.
And I thought whatever, man.
Yeah, man, what?
Yeah, man. What was that, Ryan?
Let's just laugh at you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't sound,
Yeah,
sound like a goat. What?
Everyone on Jeff.
What on earth
It was
was
originally
that?
you.
That's what your company is. That's what being within your company. That's what it is. Goat.
This is our life.
You're the goat man.
Goat man.
That was a true.
He'll be the goat.
There was supposed to be a goat man up in where we used to go up north. There's that's
like
like
Dog
an
Man?
old fairy tale. Like no, goat man's different. The dog man. I might have made up goat man.
I think it was.
I think it was just dog man.
No, you're stupid. Oh,
So it's a werewolf.
Maybe I made that up.
Yeah.
People have Google, so I have to be careful.
Nice.
The episode's awesome. It's a lot of fun. I think you'll enjoy it. Check it out. It's at 7 o'clock Eastern Standard Time on Pursuit Channel on Thursday, or 10 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, or which is technically 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time if you're late or you forgot to DVR it, or you just couldn't switch over from the podcast because you wanted to make sure you watched the full credits from this, and you're like, I missed the beginning. I got to go back.
Is there a post-scene credit? I gotta look.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, we did do that different this episode.
Yeah,
There's a little switch up on it, which
Not on the
surprised me.
podcast, which
Not
is
on the
what we're
podcast.
talking about.
Yeah, I'm so stupid
Yeah.
and ugly.
Yeah.
but you'll have to watch to find out.
To Ryan's point, after the after the cooking segment, we would always say stay green and go right to credits. Well, now we started putting in the sizzle reel after that. It was
Yeah,
funny.
let him find out.
My sister, I talked to my sister on the way here, and I was like,
Oh, boy.
What'd y'all think of the episode? You know what I mean? Because they watched it on Tuesday, and she's like, well, were you guys like struggling to fill time or something? I was like, excuse me? She goes, well, you showed some of the same clips at the end of the episode right before the credits that you've never done that before. And I was like, no, it's a sizzle reel. She goes, oh, I guess that's pretty cool. I was like, yeah, it's cool. But at first she was like, why would they put this in? They've never done that before. Were they just stretching? So it kind of makes...
desperate, huh?
Yeah, it's just stretching. Ryan's like, anyone who sees that sizzle reel should be honored.
Yeah.
It was pretty good.
Laurel, if you ever doubt us again, I swear.
It's weird. She wasn't really doubting us. It was just you.
Oh, right.
The way I see it.
Nice.
If you ever doubt me again.
Actually, was that mine and AJ's concept?
No, it was you guys. Because then you guys sent it over to me, and I watched it.
You asked the same thing.
We called him before we did it.
Yeah.
We included him.
Yeah.
We're nice.
Did we? No, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning.
Because you said the
No,
final...
you did call him. You told him what we were doing.
I did. Yes, I did after.
No, I called you to tell you. I'm like...
Are we fighting?
Is this important right now?
No.
We having a casual conversation while people watch? Like what?
Yeah.
Nice.
Welcome to Joe Rogan.
No, because remember, you said the final episode is done and it's been uploaded to where we store them, and I watched it from there, and then I called you
I
and
think
asked
AJ's
about
right.
it.
There's only one way to solve
because I
this.
had to do sound.
Battle
Remember?
Royale.
Because I had to do sound, and I
AJ,
called
didn't
you.
we call him because we had we bounced the idea off of him?
I promise you
No.
didn't.
Yeah.
I promise
We
you
didn't.
didn't.
Remember when we called you and bounced the idea off of you?
Nope.
Switching topics.
I promise you didn't.
It's a bummer because
Having
everyone
said that-
cared about this
Yeah,
conversation.
this was super important. I got a message on Facebook, and I get a lot of messages from people.
Hollywood, we know.
Oh, no, that's not what I was saying. A lot of people message me because they consider me an expert on everything that is animals, which is dumb. That's dumb. You shouldn't do that.
Don't think that.
I just stop it. I know some. I know, and whatever I know, you're probably aware of if you watch the show, because that's where I'm getting it
You know
from.
all of it.
So, I mean, that's where I'm gathering the information from. So, I got this message from an old high school classmate. Her name's Carrie. And
Nice.
actually, if you were wondering, I think it was 8th grade, we were nominated Class Cuties. So, for the mock elections, if you guys were wondering,
You kiss her?
That's
and I
because
won.
you were 2 foot tall.
I didn't kiss her. I know, she held me. No, I'm just kidding.
Nice.
But we did. Shout out Carrie Carmichael. So anyhow, she messaged me on Facebook and she goes, Kyle, my fiance ran over this bird, and I was wondering if you know what it is.
Oh my gosh.
And we'll leave it on that picture for just a second. But she goes, I was wondering if you can tell me what it is and what that band is on it. And she was curious if he was the one that killed it. I said a couple things.
Number one, yes.
I said no.
Why is the picture with the tire like?
The funny thing is the second picture. If you can go ahead and roll the second picture.
Okay, okay.
The second one, it's
All
like,
right.
but you can. That is so typical of someone who's like watching an event happen and then updating you as they watch the event, because they're like, "Oh my God, I ran it over. The tires on it. Click.
Yep.
Oh, we should get off of it. Well, take another picture.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, just send them both, and that's very typical.
I feel like they had to have stopped the car when they got out. They realized, there was a pigeon underneath there. Like it had
Well,
to
that-
have just been sitting there. Otherwise, when they hit it, they would have still been moving, and they would have.
Yeah.
So this
Continue.
is
So
where
I
I
don't-
realized I have an alarming amount of random knowledge. That she
a
was
fact.
actually right to call on me, because I do apparently have a lot of knowledge. And she goes, "Do you know what this is? Do you know what this? And it's got a band on it. What should I do?"
It's a bird.
And I was like, no. I was like, well, it's a pigeon, first of all. Second of all,
okay.
I doubt he is the one that killed it, because there would be a puddle of blood, and after an animal dies, it does not bleed the same as if it was dead. So if you ran over a bird,
Yeah.
the blood would just be everywhere.
it would.
When there's
If it
already
was
a fly on it, which I feel like is too soon.
Yeah, if you ran it over and it was already dead, you'd kind of see this where there's not very much blood. So I told her, I
That's a
said,
good point.
rest assured, you probably didn't kill it. Number 2, it's a pigeon, and number 3, that band most likely represents the fact that it's a race pigeon, and we know this random piece of knowledge because this is like where old people gain knowledge.
Experience.
Jeffrey had an experience at his house that was not similar, but kind of.
Kinda. I raise chickens in the backyard. So I've got 10 chickens. There's a lot of feed all over all the time. So we get other birds. Well, at one point, there's a pigeon. And there's doves and other stuff. But there's this pigeon walking around, and it hangs out for 2-3 weeks.
Oh wow.
Well, after the second or third day, I walk out and I realize it's got a band on its foot. So I get close enough to it that I can see kind of what's on the band, and I Google it. And there's I guess, this whole league of people that race pigeons, like across states, across...
Like carrier
I don't know
pigeons?
how far they'll go, kinda, basically. And they band them, and then they'll let them go from one spot, and they'll let a bunch of birds go, and then they train them to go to this other spot, however far away.
The weird thing is the spot's underneath a tire. No, I'm just kidding.
Nice. Now, the one that stopped at my house lost because he stopped at my house for 3 weeks.
And ate all your food.
Nope.
But he eventually left.
That
so
pigeon,
I assume...
the pigeon that went to your house is my spirit animal. He trained for a race. They let him go. Once he started the race, he stopped somewhere and ate for 3 weeks instead of finishing the race. That is my spirit animal,
I
that
like
pigeon.
that. It reminds me of the when you get those dollar bills that have like the look where this dollar's been, and like people.
Oh, yeah.
It reminds me of that.
So it's funny that this was brought up because for training our German Shorthairs, we have pigeons.
Okay.
And when they're pups and you're teaching them how to point, they have these like bird traps set up. You keep your pigeons at your house or wherever, in the barn, wherever. And what happens with pigeons is they have some like compass thing going on inside their head. Like they can tell which way things are, like
Yeah.
geographically. And so I think it takes like up to 2 weeks you have to keep a pigeon in the same spot. You can take it somewhere in a car, let it go, it will fly back to that spot.
Really?
It knows its home.
That's pretty cool.
So
I did
what
not know that.
happens is you put the bird into
They would be perfect for the movie Taken, where he's like memorizing the turns and the car would
Nice.
being all hooded.
Nice plug.
Nice play, yeah.
All he's got to do is get a pigeon where the girl is, and then leave it there for 2 weeks, and then bring it home, and then follow it. That's a great movie plot.
So what happened? You put them in this trap, and there's a remote control on it. And when the dog walks up to it, if they point it, then great. If they don't, and they like
Scare it.
attack the bird,
Yeah.
then it launches the bird up into the air, and they flush it. And it's training them like
Not to
how
flush.
things happen when
Yeah.
you're
That's
out in the field. And then instead of buying 1,000 birds and just releasing them into the air, those pigeons always go straight back to where.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
And
They
there's
do go back?
Yeah, and you set up like a door on their coop.
What torment.
You set up a.
What a life.
I mean,
Yeah. It's like Monsters, Inc.
what is
How so?
what is happening?
What in the world? You got to explain
I need to
that.
know
'cause
that.
Monsters Inc.
What?
You know how they bottle the scare.
Yep.
So like these people just continually they go to their bed every night, these kids, and then every night this monster comes out of the closet, scares the bejesus out of them,
That's their
and
end.
there's a benefit to it, and then it just happens. Then they go back to bed again. They go right back to the same spot and get it again, and they go right back to the same. And their parents don't listen. No matter how much you cry, you tell your dad, "I'm scared to go to
So
bed."
it's
I'm
like-
scared
I didn't
to
have
bed."
What is going on?
He won't listen
dude?
to you, and he.
I didn't have confidence you were going to be able
which
to
would be a
trail
much
that back.
better reference.
What?
It'd be like Groundhog Day, where you're doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's a much better reference.
I
than-
hate all
Monsters,
movies
Inc.
and shows that go with a groundhog plot where you see the same stuff over and over again. Even though like Fringe and all the good shows do it. You're a nerd. but still, I always get bored by those plots. But back to Ryan.
I mean,
He's
That was
like,
it.
they flush
That was
the
it.
bird.
yeah.
It goes
Birds
back.
flush, they go back home.
Did that person look up what that tag was by chance?
I sent her the link to do so. And then she asked like how she should dispose of it. I said you should get the number off the tag and then just get rid of it. You know, you just dispose it.
Bury it.
Yeah.
Where'd they hit it?
I think all of it. I
No.
think in the
Say it's
body area. Somewhere
You are
around
joking, right?
the head, torso, and it was in Madison Heights, I'm sure. I think she lives in
Well, not
Madison
in their
Heights.
driveway. That's what I'm asking.
Oh, it was in the street, and she said a bunch of branches were down too. But I doubt like a pigeon was in the branches and collapsed with it. They're like
Yeah,
a cat. They're
I would
gonna
agree.
They're gonna survive a fall.
Yeah.
It kind of looked like when you look at the peppering in the chest, it
It
almost
kinda
looked
he
like it got shot.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. 'Cause it
Yeah,
had some
but I
speckle.
doubt it based on the area.
I'm wondering about your blood analysis, and maybe
Me too.
it just got
Expertise.
crushed, and then that's the blood just coming up from like the crusher, like the ribs coming up through.
Was the blood
It's
dry?
gruesome,
Was the
but-
blood dry around it?
You know, I didn't ask her that,
That would have been the.
but I
telling
think that I
sign.
am correct on
And
the
if
blood.
they found it and they had parked, and then maybe they found it later, how long it had been sitting there? There's
He
a bunch
didn't
of
kill it,
variables.
okay?
Or if you touch the bird and it's still warm. I mean, that's kind of weird, but I mean, it's true.
Well,
If you just
but
touched
it's
it,
hot outside
unlimited
now, and
outcomes.
I think we're going dark to a place that
Yep,
doesn't need to go.
nope.
if you
I
take your
almost
finger,
went there.
The other option, if you take your finger and I told her too that there is an off chance that it could be someone's farm pigeon too. Like we had people in our neighborhood that actually farmed pigeons, and they ate them because it's a delicacy in a lot of places.
Yeah.
So when they...
That's why there's no more carrier pigeons, because they ate all of them. Like everyone did.
I think there
Didn't ask, dude.
I think there is carrier
All right,
pigeons.
fine. I won't give any more facts.
Ass, man.
Are you sure carrier pigeons are gone?
Yeah.
They just ate
They
them?
don't. They're extinct now.
They weren't just pigeons trained to do it. They were a specific.
No, they
thing?
were a specific.
Oh, I did not know that.
They got.
Thanks, public
eaten
school.
or whatever the
Dang
case.
it.
to extinction.
PBS came through with Jeff's facts this week.
Yeah.
Okay, so we haven't done this in a while because Ryan and I always hate coming up with these ideas. But the tip of the week, because it's like,
Like, what the heck?
I don't know,
do?
man. Don't run over pigeons. There's our tip of the week.
Nice.
But they're not
You
good.
just said it wasn't our fault.
But for the tip of the week, I like this one a lot because I actually found it interesting. At first, I read it, and then I was like, no.
Yeah, you sent us the link. I didn't open it or read it or anything.
Thanks.
Whatever.
So then I actually checked out like a bunch of different. I researched the heck out of it, and it's actually true.
Oh yeah.
So this is proven. So an Idaho man happened to be walking past his car when he went on a lunch break and spotted smoke billowing out of a car. When he ran over to investigate, he found that the bottle of water that had been left on the car seat had started to refract light to such a powerful extent that it caused one of the seats to catch fire.
Dang.
So it's like
A magnifying glass?
like a
Yeah.
magnifying glass with ants, you crazy kid. But
I'm glad none of us did that as kids, because like, what kind of a sick animal would do that?
yeah, Ryan.
Yeah.
I don't know why we all decided Ryan did it. We've never talked about
We're the
this.
older ones
Immediately
too.
at me.
So anyhow, apparently it's true, and firefighters actually talk about it. We should have actually talked to the Time's Up Outdoors guys about it. But,
Oh, yeah.
But basically, if you put a bottle of water in there, the bottle of water will actually refract the light, focus it, and start a fire. And then I was watching all these YouTube videos of people doing it on purpose to make the point, and like they'll burn a hole in their seat in just a couple seconds.
Wow.
Wow, that's...
I've heard about it happening at like liquor stores with like
Oh, the-
vodka and plastic bottles, the cheaper
Yeah.
kind that just the right angle.
That's crazy.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
Wow.
It's a real thing.
that's
Speaking of time...
and that's a dramatic shot of what could happen.
Pretty dramatic.
Speaking of
It's the
Time's Up
aftermath.
Outdoors and their weird stories like that, which, if you don't know who they are, check them out, I guess.
Time's Up Outdoors.
Time's Up Outdoors.
Group of firefighters that were
They-
friends with that do a bunch of online media content that has to do with hunting and fishing, and they do podcasts and stuff. The great guys. Go ahead.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're firefighters in Detroit, and they posted a picture, I think, today or yesterday, of... They put out a house fire, and then they went downstairs into the basement, and there was an baby alligator swimming in a pool down there.
Story of my life.
Somebody
It was
just-
they had a
people.
picture of them holding it.
Some
it was
people.
crazy.
That's
in the
nuts.
middle of Detroit. What?
What kind of sick?
I feel like not that long ago there was someone in Detroit that had like a whole like a menagerie, like lions and
Menagerie?
Not like lions, probably.
You
just
want it? You're like, I'm gonna fit this word.
Great
in.
word.
He always has to act like he's so cool, doesn't
Great.
he, AJ?
That's a
I'm
good
sorry
word.
for knowing the English language. It's my bad.
Sorry for being educated.
So that's insane. Did they give any other facts? Like,
No, I mean, that's all the post said, that there was an alligator down in the basement. I want to know more about it, but...
right? I wonder if they like give it to the zoo or eat it.
Yeah, what do you...
Probably eat it. That's the logical choice.
We ate alligator.
And if
Yeah,
you're-
that we just found. And
I don't know what this is.
someone raised it in the basement. They're farming it. Let's eat it.
they
There's probably rules. There's probably rules for that.
Probably.
Probably rules for that. Yeah, that's strange. But yeah, so tip of the week: do not leave your water bottles in the car, especially where they could attract any light.
You should have water in your car in case of emergency, but you should put it under the seat so that way light can't hit it to refract.
But here's
in
the other
order
thing,
to-
though. So did you know that if you should leave...
Cancer.
Okay, so I guess we'll jump to the end and then we'll work back from the middle.
It's like a movie.
Yeah.
Memento.
Like, what's the movie that does that? Pulp Fiction.
Yeah,
kinda,
It
yeah.
does do that.
No, definitely. Exact. No, I'm just kidding. So anyhow, if you leave water bottles in the car and they get super hot, then the toxins
not good.
from the plastic can leach into the water,
Yeah.
which can cause cancer. So you're not
Leave
supposed to...
them in a BPA-free
Yep.
water bottle then.
Okay, Jeff has all the answers. He would be the one to leave like his tap water in like his car. And then,
I have the nicest tap water that there is, okay?
Why
I
do you
like
have-
a 4-part system that Because I've got well water.
Everyone's
So we
fortunate
gotta
in
have-
Bruce.
AJ,
so.
was it you? Was it you?
What's that?
Did you ask?
Ryan?
Did I? No.
No,
Yes.
I don't think we asked.
Oh.
Nice.
They say that not to do the same thing with like freezing it. Like don't keep reusing
Yep.
plastic water bottles, freezing it and letting it thaw and drinking
Reusable.
that.
Single use.
When I was a
Don't
kid,
use single
like
use.
baseball season, I always did you fill it halfway with water, and then lean it on its side and let it freeze in the freezer, and then pour the other half in water, and then you get a jam ice cube in it.
Wow.
Wow,
like
you're,
that.
you
I was
just
like a
must be
really
full of
smart
cancer.
kid. I was like a really smart
You
kid.
don't sound smart.
You and those
talking
orange
like that.
slices.
You looked real smart, too, with all those cool clothes you had.
All
Jeff's
of my
clothes.
clothes were hand-me-down clothes from Jeffrey because for being premature, he grew fast and never quit. So, are we talking width? Or are we talking? Oh,
He's calling you fat, boy.
got him. When we come back, speaking of all this knowledge that I seem to have, we're going to be talking about really cool signs in nature that you need to watch out for that might mean you're in danger. We'll be right back. You're a hunter, and because you hunt, you're the world's greatest conservationist. You're a huntervationist. You do more for wildlife and conservation than anyone. The Sportsman Alliance protects hunters from the animal rights movement. When the Sportsman Alliance gets involved in court cases or legislation, hunters win. Conservation wins. Become a huntervationist today and join the Sportsman Alliance like we did to help protect your rights against the animal rights movement.
Hot Shot Outfitters in Port Hope, Michigan is the destination for whitetail deer, crow, waterfowl, rabbit, predator, and turkey hunts. We have cabins, over 30,000 non-fenced acres, and a passion for delivering fair chase hunts to you and your family. Reserve your hunt at hotshotoutfitters.com today.
When your hands are busy, your mind gets right. When your hands are busy, you can't point fingers and complain that life isn't fair. When your hands are busy, you're serving your family, your friends, and your community. When your hands are busy, you show everyone what you're capable of. The all-new Ram 1500, Motor Trend's 2019 Truck of the Year.
Hello and welcome back to episode 28 of the Greenway Outdoors podcast. So the first thing I'm going to do is do our social media comment of the week. And it's funny, it's from Mike Smith, who's a really nice guy who takes us walleye fishing sometimes. This is my best angle, you can tell by the picture.
Oh, man. A great one.
Jeffrey looked satisfied. Ryan's just proud of himself. And Mike said,
What are you doing, Ryan?
What are you
What
doing?
is this?
what am I doing?
Why are you?
What's with the boots and the jeans?
Why is your crotch wet, Jeff?
It's not. That's
Hey,
just
it
the light.
sure does look like it.
Yeah, that's
We're
not
going to judge
flattering.
me in this picture right now?
Yeah, I think Ryan and I
What
can
in the
agree that
world?
Jeff's the idiot in this picture.
Kyle
Between
somehow
the stripper and George
stupid.
of the Jungle over there, I don't understand.
That is not stripper, and you do look like George of the Jungle. You're the common enemy now. Jeff, let's team up. So Mike Smith made the wrong choice. He said, I'm with Jeff on this one. The look on his face, LOL, meaning Jeff looks at us like that all the time. But
Yep.
who wears shorts and rubber knee highs?
Yeah.
So Jeff loses. Back to Jeff being
Someone
the enemy.
who prepared
Ryan,
for
you and I are on a team again.
Someone who prepared for the weather,
Someone who prepared for...
Someone who.
as opposed to
There's
the guy
no
who wore
weather.
jeans
There's
and
no weather.
boots.
Those are-
What?
You look like an
I
idiot.
think I'm most prepared for it.
Just because you're wearing your police vest
No.
doesn't
I'm
mean you're
talking about bottom
Ice-
half.
ice
I have.
vest.
Well, yeah, my ice vest.
I got my handy-down free boots on.
Oh,
my,
yeah.
My Irish
And
setters.
somehow you're perfectly, like, symmetrical with this, what do they call it? What are you doing?
Twerk?
Yes, twerk.
Thank you, AJ.
Perfectly symmetrical
Yeah.
with your twerk.
Yeah, that's all the
perfect
core.
Love the,
triangle.
love
That's
the
all the
symmetrics of your twerk.
That's all
Yes.
the core strength. That was
Break it down.
what we were
It's
doing.
no
was
amateur.
we were taking. That's no amateur. Break it down. First of all, they were playing Love Shack on the speaker inside.
Oh,
and when
okay.
Love Shack comes on, I get a little crazy.
Yeah, it happens.
Yeah, you don't want to be around them.
When I was a kid, actually, there's a picture of me. I wish I had it now. There's a picture of me at like 3 or 4 years old with my feet propped up in my little pedal car. And I'm sitting back and I got these headphones on in a cassette player.
Nice.
And on that cassette, I remember the cassette, I had my dad put Love Shack on it 8 times back to back to back to back to back.
Holy cow.
So, okay, so that's where he gets it from. They're listening to the same song
Yeah,
over
that was
and
my.
over.
Oh.
And then my dad,
Makes sense.
at night when he would get home from work, after we would eat dinner, I would always want to wrestle. And he would put on records while we wrestled. This is like, you'd think I grew up in 1812, but now that I think about it, it sounds crazy. But he would put on records, and Love Shack was always the song that I was thinking of. And that was like, my dad taught me how to fight when I was a kid, but I always wanted to listen to Love Shack while learning how to fight.
It's like he's in World War
It was a memory
II.
that I had. That's how I learned to fight, was listening to Love Shack in the
Was
front
it
living room with my
grainy
dad.
with little lines in it too while you were doing it?
Static on it. It was a record.
Let's skip maybe.
First of all, don't be upset with me because we didn't have oh my God, and we didn't have cable. That's the poorest sounding situation that ever was. Jeffrey was across the
still
street
1990s, you know?
watching SpongeBob like a rich kid on his cable TV, television or whatever they call it. And I was listening to records, fighting with my dad like a good 1812 cowboy.
He's washing his clothes on a board.
Yeah, washing his clothes on a board. Oh, that is what I did. But so Mike said I'm with Jeff on this one. The look on his face. Jeff was obviously dissatisfied, and I thought that was pretty funny.
Great picture.
Good picture. Good picture. We were just trying to take pictures with our drone. We were learning how to take pictures with that new drone. It was supposed to be good.
All right, everyone pick a pose. All right.
And then
You two clearly picked first because then I just didn't pick.
It worked out.
So, signs in nature that you should watch out for. I always like them in the movies, AJ, when you're watching them, and there's always the one guy that knows everything.
Oh, yeah.
That's like going on. He's like, oh
And
my
he's
gosh,
always
right
ignored.
there.
Mr. Parks.
Yeah.
The Mr. Parks of every movie. Okay, so the first Mr. Parks line, and something you should watch out for, and this seems like something your dad would know, is J-shaped trees. So if you look at that picture right there, if you should ever encounter this, that J shape actually comes from the fact that the ground is moving very slowly,
That's awesome.
and that's causing the trees to grow that way. Okay? Now the problem with that is that often after you see this, there's probably going to be a landslide soon. So this is ground that you want to watch for. And apparently, aside from just J-shaped trees, cracks in the ground are also a really big sign of a possible landslide. So if you see both of those, don't set up camp there for the night because you probably won't make it. So that is
I like that.
Yeah, it's a neat, fun fact. J-shaped trees means you could be in for a landslide.
You don't see them very often either.
I've never encountered it.
No.
I've never encountered that.
I bet we just haven't noticed it.
You've noticed that.
That's true.
I've seen them
Well, I mean,
coming
like
out
that
of
seems
the
like a
bank
cow-
of a river before. But
Yeah.
That's not the same.
It's actually exactly
Actually,
the
it
same.
is actually exactly the same because the ground's moving.
They're
erosion.
around, and then it grows up to the sun, so it curves.
That's
That's how it
true.
works.
Nature.
Erosion.
Nature.
Remember Scott's paper on erosion? Scott wrote a paper. Our friend Scott Slater wrote a paper on erosion when he was a kid. And he
For fun?
And he brought it up probably.
Yeah.
And he brought
One
it up.
time.
He brought it up one time, and then every time we could bring up erosion, Jeff and I would. We'd be like, erosion over there. Scott's an expert. He's
Or
like,
if it was on the news. Oh.
he's like, I wrote the paper 20 years ago. We're like, that's you, buddy.
They didn't come to you for the expert opinion?
You're the expert. Number 2, ocean levels severely drop. This one I actually knew. So tsunamis are usually formed with an earthquake when it happens underwater, which displaces the water above it.
Dang.
At this point, the waves can move as fast as a jet airplane at 500 miles per hour.
No doubt.
So what'll normally happen, this happened in the movie San Andreas,
Yep.
where all the water...
What's with the movie references today?
That's like number 9. I don't know. I've only seen 11 movies, so...
It's a good way to
Here
connect.
comes Men in Black.
Yeah, Men in Black's the
It's
only one
coming. I already
missing.
had prepared.
But when the water gets sucked out like that, like in the movie San Andreas, that's a really big sign that, something's coming, and you
Yep.
want to get to high ground and away from shore as fast as possible. And this is what happens just before a tsunami. So you may as well keep a lookout for the ocean level dropping along other beaches because tsunamis are most common in the Pacific, but they do happen everywhere.
In the rare instance where that doesn't happen and the tsunami still comes was 2004 Thailand, I believe, tsunami that wiped out
So what caused
quite
that
a
one?
bit. It was still an earthquake, but it just didn't go back, and then.
I wonder if it was maybe the
Oh, it
earthquake
just came.
It just came.
Maybe it was closer. Maybe the earthquake was
It's
closer.
possible.
That could be like.
I'm not factual on that.
Yeah.
But I do know that it didn't do that.
Interesting.
So if the water gets
But they usually do that.
sucked out like crazy from the beach, leave.
Tsunamis,
Correct.
they kind of fascinate me. Like, it's terrible like the aftermath of it and how it affects people, but it's kind of amazing
beast.
that the ground just moves slightly, and then next thing you know, it's a catastrophe on the other side of the world.
I mean,
Yeah.
they ain't no joke.
No.
Yeah.
Water.
No, water's scary. The ocean, just in general,
Is a
like being
scary
around-
beast.
Yeah, it's just so massive.
Is it ever?
That's what a lot of people say about me.
All 139 pounds of you.
If you want to take it that way.
Yeah. I think we better. Anyhow, so choppy
great.
water channels at the beach. So if we show that image, basically what you're looking for is if you see a channel of choppy water on the beach, seaweed, debris moving away from the shore in a particular area, a section of discolored water, or a gap in the line of the waves, it's likely that a deadly rip current, not rip tide. The articles I read, it was really funny. Rip tide and rip current are very.
I don't know the difference.
That's not a correct way. It is a rip current, which we're talking about specifically, and that's the real dangerous one.
Rip tide is where it just takes you out.
The tide in general goes out, but the rip current is underneath the water that sucks you way, 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 way out.
Yeah, that's scary
and
stuff.
it moves super fast. So they're very fast, very powerful channels of water flowing away from shore. Rip currents kill over 100 people in the United States every year and are responsible for most lifeguard rescues. So if you actually get sucked in a rip current, it takes you out, and you're a good swimmer, the first thing you do, and you can see in this picture, you can just see where the break in the waves are, and then you can see where it goes all the way out and where the discoloring is and everything like that. It's pretty clear. So if you should get caught up in one and pulled out, you're supposed to swim direct parallel to the beach. Do not swim towards it, because you're just fighting it like one of those infinity pools or whatever where they're shooting water at you. So you swim parallel to the shore until you break out of it, and you'll know when you break out of it because you'll quit getting shoved away from shore.
Yep.
And then you swim at an angle away from the rip current back towards shore at an angle.
I didn't know
that's
that.
how you survive it. The problem is it takes so much out of you that a lot of people don't survive it.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't recognize when they're in it, and then they end up way out there, and then their first instinct is to go straight for shore. And like that's the advice I had, what you just said, except the way I heard it was just use the current to swim out until you get out past it, and then like almost like you're doing a U shape away, and then
Like a
over,
rabbit.
and then
and
back
just
in.
get back on the beach yonder?
Yeah, because
Okay.
you're using the momentum of the water just to get out of it as soon as you can.
Yeah, the problem is they can go out a really, really long ways.
I mean, I guess the way you said it would be
And
best.
There's probably like a panic that hits,
Yeah.
I would think, if you're realizing it. So I would just swim. I think I'd probably go diagonal right out of the gate. I'd want to feel like I was making progress towards shore still. But you're supposed to go parallel to the beach till you know you're out of it, then back in.
There were a couple of rip current disappearances where people just went missing on the beach, and they think that's what happened.
Yeah.
Happened like last week.
So
100 people die in the U.S. every year.
what's the difference between a rip tide and a rip current?
Again, I don't want to say. All I know is that when I was reading all the articles, everyone was making fun of all the people that used the wrong one. So
Really?
people that were saying rip tides were just getting blasted.
Yeah.
So I would assume that the tide is like what happened when we were in the tornadoes, where the whole entire waves were like pushing outwards. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Because there was a storm or something.
You got the water coming into shore,
Like a wave.
and then it's got to come back. Meanwhile, other water is still coming into shore. So I think riptide is the undercurrent.
The undertow.
That's kind of a
But-
guess though, so I don't.
But
quote me
whereas
on
this
that,
is
but
like a straight river shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that would be my guess. At the
I wonder
difference.
what causes that. That's so random.
Well, I think what happens is, so you know how.
Hey, you know what? I didn't look that up. Come to that, I didn't look that
Well,
up.
you know, like when you're out in the ocean boogie boarding, and then like
In a
you'll
hurricane?
get it. Yeah,
Yeah, I'm
in a
really good
hurricane.
at boogie boarding.
Well, you'll get in the water in one spot where you set down all your stuff, but then when you want to get out, you're 50 yards down the beach.
Yeah.
I think it's where those two, where one's going, a set of waves is going this way, the other one set is going this way, and it all just builds up right there, and it flushes out in that one spot. Like you can kind of see. I mean, I don't know, but like kind of where that pier is, it's almost like they're kind of heading towards each other. So you have.
I see that.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I think that might be a slight cause of it.
Because I was in the ocean a couple weeks ago, and like you literally just go out as far as you want, and then just stand there and kind of medal, and then next thing you know, like you said, you're 50 yards left or right, and you didn't do anything. It just happens. It's weird.
The next one is one that I'm actually looking forward to being able to say that I know around people that haven't listened to this podcast, because then they'll know where I gathered the info. But a ring around the moon. So these rings are formed when very thin, high up. It's how do you
cirrus clouds?
Cirrus clouds. I didn't want to say it wrong.
Nice.
Wrong. Did I say wrong? Clouds drift above you. The clouds are made up of tiny ice crystals that split and reflect the light, thus making a ring around the sun or moon. Now, these clouds often come before a storm. The ring can be a sign that the rain is on its way in the next day or two. So if you should see this, that low pressure, system is probably coming up to disrupt what you're experiencing at the time, where it's a nice sunny day. So when you see those rings around the moon and sun, that's a good sign that you're probably going to get hit with some weather. So when they're mountains and we have no communication with anybody in the middle of Alaska, and I just keep talking about the rings around the moon, we got to keep hunting, Jeffrey. You can't just keep sitting down. We have to get a moose before, And then AJ's like, well, why do we have to keep going? And I'm like, because of the rings around the moon, AJ. We have to get this moose before it starts raining.
I would have thought
I
it was...
already don't want to go. He's super annoying.
We already lost Ryan. We can't lose anybody else.
Why am I dead?
I don't know. We ate you. So anyhow.
I thought it would be some like light reflecting off some swamp gas in Venus.
Which brings us to the next tip.
Area 51. Which would be kind of like the movie Men in Black. No,
correct.
I'm just kidding.
That's what we were going for.
I know.
That's why I quoted.
But I went
there already.
So, this next article is actually pretty interesting for me, because it's something that I would want to ask you guys if you would want to do this. Ironically, there is a movie reference here as well.
I've never seen it.
You've never seen Jaws?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so the movie Jaws,
Spielberg.
right? So the Jaws is about a shark eating people. So on this lake in Travis, it's called Lake Travis, and it's in Texas. They have They have this event every year. It sounds like it might even be every weekend. I don't know when, but we're going.
Sounds like a hoot.
Yeah. What they do is you sit in an inner tube in the lake at night.
Don't care then.
In the lake, not the ocean, so it's fine.
Have you ever heard of freshwater sharks? In the lake where the only recorded bull shark was ever found. No, I'm just kidding. I spruce up the story a little bit. That's not true. There's no bull shark, although he could survive, so it's something to think about when your toes are dangling in there. But you're literally watching the movie Jaws in an inner tube in the open water. I think that is pretty cool. Plus, there's cotton candy, apparently.
Nothing's going to happen. I think just the water, going back and
just
forth.
An effect.
It's a cool effect.
The other thing is, the special effects in Jaws are so low that, it would
at this point, we wouldn't.
It would give you, it's more like it'd be a cool hangout.
It'd be better if you watched the movie Piranha.
That'd be a cool thing to go do, but I think what I wouldn't like about it is the fact that I'm in a tube and you're just sitting there bumping into random strangers all over the place.
Well, that's the thing is you never sit still in a tube. What happens if there's any waves that night? Everyone's trying to paddle around and this and that.
And you're exhausted.
And they do sell cotton candy, which is cool, but imagine how sad I'll be when I drop my cotton candy in that water and you gotta watch it dissolve.
You will.
I will.
Oh, for sure.
Throw a fit.
Worst case is you drop it down in your tube, so then you're sticky and you...
Yeah, then it's like soup and you can...
I hope the sound is good, because the sound of the water would get pretty loud, I feel like.
Yeah.
Sound on the water.
They'd have to it'd have to be like a concert projection
I
sound.
would hope so.
It would be pretty cool if they could turn it into if they could put some sort of subwoofer underwater and they vibrate the water. So
or just have things.
You know what I mean?
Have some divers swimming around just tickling tootsies.
Oh yeah, tickling tootsies.
It turns into like a haunted house experience.
And the people that work there are like, oh, you went under the tube and scared somebody. Haven't seen that every week.
So original.
Yeah. It'd still get you though, I think, a little bit. If
I'd do it. It looked like fun.
Someone grabs my foot in a lake, it still scares me.
God, every 2 minutes in the movie, someone's gonna go, ah!
That's true.
Shut up.
Oh, I feel like too that you're outside. There would be a level of comfort where you feel like you can just talk through it.
That'd be kind of annoying.
Yeah, it would be. I feel like it'd be loud.
Do you open your eyes underwater?
I do.
I do too.
Not in
the ocean. Not in the ocean.
No.
I don't in hotel pools.
I do all the time, no matter where it is.
In hotel pools?
Everything.
That explains a twitch. But Why do you ask that?
I don't know. We're talking about water, and I was just thinking, like, swimming around in a lake, scaring people if you're underwater.
Often the reason why I open up my eyes in lake water is because I'm scaring somebody. Lily and Catherine, my nieces, when we're up north and stuff, that's like my go-to.
Oh, yeah. Funnest thing to pull them under and just hold them and pull them up.
For 40 seconds.
No, I always do scare. I always scare them, and they jump every time. And Kat doesn't buy into it, but she just likes when you touch her. So it's like you scared her. So
you gotta be careful.
That's not a weird thing. Like when you grab her and scare her. Why you gotta make everything weird?
I'm not the one that makes it weird. I'm just saying you.
You're the only one that laughed. Everyone else was like,
oh yeah, it's a kid. This is normal.
Yeah.
Not whatever you were thinking.
Yeah, weirdo. So anyhow, Jeffrey.
Judas.
Oh, well, you're the new Jeffrey this week. But yeah,
Facebook goes nuts. Why would Jeffrey talk about that? Oh my God.
Like I said nothing. It was him.
Oh, God.
So I hope that you enjoyed this podcast and that you will tune into our episode tonight, again on Pursuit Channel, if you're watching live on NRM streams. If you are listening to this post-show, and you're listening to it on iTunes, Google Play, or any of the other options, know that we are also, you can watch it on through the New Radio Streams app. You can watch it on Roku, Amazon Fire Stick, a bunch of other online platforms as well, Apple TV, so look it up there. Or you can go to our YouTube channel and watch it there so you can actually see the pictures that we're talking about as opposed to just hearing our terrible voices.
And if you want to have the best crawfish experience, go down to Barry Crawfish Haven.
Yeah, I would agree.
For real. That's not even just like a light plug. That is so true.
It's dessert.
Have some etouffee.
That is a...
And we mean it because he's never going to see this, so that's like we really mean it.
For real. Yeah, no, that was...
Where else can you eat, sleep, and offend someone by not eating their egg roll?
I didn't want to eat the egg roll. You're not even going to try my egg roll? That was the worst.
Oh, man.
But the food is fantastic. You'll have a great experience, and you'll get the opportunity to fish for crawfish and get a ton of them. And on top of that, you'll be able to do a big crawfish boil like we did. Hopefully you'll enjoy the episode. So what we're going to do now is actually show you the recipe of crawfish etouffee that's going to be in the episode tonight, and that Jeffrey learned from Barry. We'll do that, and that'll be it. Thanks so much for tuning in to the Green Bay Outdoors podcast. Stay green.
Good night, rock on.
See you later.
For today's recipe, we're going to be cooking crawfish etouffee. For step-by-step directions for this recipe and many others, visit thegreenwayoutdoors.com. Hello and welcome back to the Greenway Outdoors Kitchen. We are going to cook a recipe that we heard people talk about 100 times while we were in New Orleans. And I don't want to say it wrong because I normally say New Orleans and I've just gotten over saying that. But crawfish etouffee?
It's crawfish etouffee.
Perfect. Let's get started. Heat your chicken stock over medium heat. Add your mushrooms and let soak for 10 minutes. Once they soaked up all the juice, chop them up into small bits. Meanwhile, melt down a stick of butter in a pot over medium-high heat. Once your butter's melted, add your flour. Continuously stir your roux until it develops a light brown color. This can take up to 30 minutes. Once done, this roux will act as your thickener for your sauce. Now, you're going to add your mushrooms, onion, celery, and bell peppers to the pot. Cook that down for about 10 minutes. Then add your garlic, stewed tomatoes, stock, tomato paste, and seasoning. Bring that to a boil, then reduce heat to low. Let simmer for 45 minutes. Then add your cooked crawfish. Cook for an additional 5 minutes and then season with salt and pepper to your liking. And serve over a bed of rice. Jeff, this is an excellent recipe that we heard everybody speak about, and it looks like you did a good job. Now, it looks a little unorthodox to be eating, but I trust you. So here we go.
Yep. Just take it.
No, I'm just kidding. It does look good, though. I want to make
Get a
sure.
little of the rice.
Make sure I get some of the baby. I was going to say baby shrimp.
Get some of that, baby.
I don't know. Weird thing to say. That's really good.
Yep.
I like it.
Not bad.
Jeffrey, that was actually a really tasty recipe, and it's kind of cool that you learned it from Barry.
Yeah, it's got my little spin on it, but it's this basic setup.
Right, and it's fantastic, and it's cool. Going after crayfish, something you don't typically see on hunting and fishing shows, and that's kind of always our goal, is to do things a little bit unorthodox and out of the box. For this recipe and many others, visit thegreenwayoutdoors.com. Also, check out our Facebook and Instagram pages. We'd love to hear from you on recipes or episodes you'd like to see. Also, check us out on Wednesdays when we release our podcast through New Radio Media and our YouTube channel. Thanks so much for tuning in. Stay green.